Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Cards, the daily oracle and tarot card reading of the day. This is meant to be my personal reading, but if you found this here, this message was meant for you as well. Take what resonates and carry it through the day. If not, leave it here for someone else. I'm gonna jump right into this. As a note, I do shuffle off screen so that the video isn't as long. And let's jump into this. The first card today is from the Santa Muerte Tarot. And what we drew is the Queen of Cups. It's a very good energy. It represents generosity and feelings and the capability to spread affection and be spontaneous. She's a very maternal and intuitive person. The advice of the dead for today is that we can completely trust our intuitions or that of a close female figure to us with whom we believe to be reputable. So today might be a day to actually talk through our thoughts and feelings with someone close to us. And from the Beautiful Creatures Tarot, we actually drew 2 cards for today. And the first of that would be the Knight of Wands, which indicates desire to obtain what you really want at any cost. The Knight of Wands energy is adventurous, footloose, carefree. It's ruled by Jupiter, which is the planet of luck and expansion. And it's associated with the Sagittarius zodiac, and that rules higher education and long journeys. The card represents a situation when we may need to show enthusiasm for what we're wishing for, manifesting, etc. And it has to come from our heart, our emotions, and our connection to spirit. We cannot pretend that we are happy for something when we are not. We need to invite others to celebrate and be happy as well. It will be a healthy thing that we can all rely on. We should avoid being a Mr. or Mrs. Know-it-all. You may want to teach yourself new things. Stop pretending like you know them already. Do research before giving an opinion. However, if we have a vast knowledge in something that other people do not, be kind and share the wealth of information. And the second card is the Four of Wands in reverse, which denotes unity. And I'll flip the card around for you guys so you can see it. This card implies that we've been losing touch and not giving ourselves a chance to unite with people who truly matter. This could be due to our ego and pride and our complete focus on irrelevant things. We sometimes look for a bond with material things instead of loved ones. And from the Santa Muerte, today is definitely a day to reach out to a trusted maternal figure. This would be a reminder of that. And this is a card against, separation. Don't separate ourselves from people. Next up is the Daily Oracle card from the Alice in Wonderland deck. And we drew 19, which resonates to a 1. And it's who in the world are you? That perhaps is one of the greatest puzzles you can ever ask yourself. So many people go through life thinking that they know who they are, and it sometimes is because of what others say they ought to be, and they get submerged in conformity, habits, stereotypes. This card's really asking us to question and assume for a moment that we don't know who we are. It's an invitation to go beneath all the roles and assumptions and allow ourselves to slowly ascend and emerge from the feedback of the world and just to be. It's a wonderful opportunity to live from our heart, to question all we think. We might want to meditate on this to find out, who we are, new places, new people, start over to reincarnate. It may be travel, therapy, journaling, or heartfelt conversations with trusted people. Treat it as an adventure and an opportunity to forget what we think we know. Rather than going along with beliefs, kind of have a death moment from the tarot to be reborn. This is going to indicate growing into a new self, defying assumptions. It's going to be change on a very deep level, but you have to have the readiness to evolve and the want to do experimentation. Next we have the Oracle of the Shapeshifters. And what we drew was the Golden Phoenix. Something we thought finished burst back into life. So there's that old saying that, when one door closes, another door opens. Sometimes it's just not another door. And sometimes it's just because we didn't learn the lesson that we needed. And it's coming back to basically beat it into our head until we get it. Sometimes it is something completely new and we're going to get an adventure out of it one way or another. Phoenix rose from ashes. We could be feeling at rock bottom right now. The good thing about rock bottom is the only way to go is up unless you want to stay stuck in the mud. And eventually you will get sick and tired of that and you will push yourself up. Next up is the Enchanted Map. And I can't wait that I'm going to order the sister deck to this, which is the Wisdom of the Oracle, also by Colette Baron Reed. This is my absolute favorite deck, but I think I'm going to give it a break when the new one comes. And I'm going to start alternating my decks a little more. What I drew today is interesting. I drew number 5, and it's goblins in reverse. Unfortunately for myself, I draw this card quite often. I have a reader that I tune into weekly, and if she was here, she would tell you. It's kind of like in my last card, with the door reopening because you don't get the lesson. This is a lesson I struggle with. And I think everybody does at some point. But, it says fear is an illusion, and we need to choose love and forgiveness for ourselves as well as others. The goblins are really that voice in our head, kind of like the devil on your shoulder and filled with negativity. It really means that sometimes it's difficult to deal with someone else's issues in the reverse position because they impact your own. You need to realize that no one's perfect. However, in this case, we may be particularly vulnerable to be manipulated. Sometimes we take the world way too personally when we need to realize it's not all about us. The significance in getting this card reversed is that it's telling us to take a step back and detach, not to let other people's stuff like karmic debts lead us into reacting from an old wound. We all have past trauma, and we really at some point need to confront it. Some of us have more than others. And from the confrontation of our own issues, we need to learn to love ourselves unconditionally. And a lot of times that means setting boundaries, and some of us have a serious time doing that. And until we do that, these goblins are not going to go to sleep. Loving ourselves first is the only answer, because when that happens, everything else will fall into place. And lastly, from the Blind Spot Oracle today, we've drawn sigil number 25. 25 in this deck is the card of resistance. And this is stating that we are definitely at some kind of internal conflict. We're not admitting that there's a tug of war occurring within us, or even occurring with us and someone else. However, what's being projected externally if you're at war with someone else has usually started first from an internal war. So we need to look deep within ourselves first. When it comes to internal resistance within a person, an oppositional force or resistance can come from our own thoughts, words, actions, fear, anxiety, resistant words that we hear, maybe bringing us down. And that's essentially a goblin as pulled from the prior deck. What we need to do to become aware of our resistance is directly address and create an alignment. Our reflection externally in the world starts internally. This is going to be, diving down, pulling up the anchor so that we can set sail. And the process we have to go through may not be pretty. But our resistance need not be shoved under the rug. It needs to be treated as valid and important, regardless if it's something, very real or something that we in turn find irrational from our own fear, anxiety, and worry. Sometimes when we become aware of the aspects that are in resistance, we find that instead of opposing our true desires to the point they're going in one direction with our intent. Our intent is everything. The road to hell is paved with the greatest intentions. The rule of thumb in this is that we must directly deal with resistance before doing anything else. No action should be taken from a place of resistance. So, deep introspection, and winter's a great time for that. With the holidays, there may have been a lot of resistance going on. And a lot of that from past trauma. It's definitely a time to look into ourselves. Today is Sunday. It's the day of rest, Go lay down, take a nap, and just get lost in your head. Have a good day. Till tomorrow.